I got other things to share if there's time also.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's your day, so it's part two. Go ahead.
Uh, Miss A, she actually shared an experience with me after you and I talked to each other last night after the session. And as you know, I mean, she's going into some personal situations and some struggling here. But how she's being guided on the real side, it's very interesting. I shared what you said last night to me about about her and being strong and things like that. And she had this experience on the real side. Somebody was calling her, like derailing her name, and just calling her, and it was a familiar voice and very intimate, and she was answering the voice, and but again the voice didn't say anything, and it was a nighttime, everywhere was dark, and it was interesting that she said when I was hearing the voice, I knew that I'm about to go, and I'm at school, and I was supposed to cross a border, and I kind of knew that maybe I would be in the way for a very, very long time, and there would be dangers and there would be things like this. But when I heard the voice calling me, like we were talking about the shoes today with each other about her, and you said that she had the shoes, she can just get out from that situation and just start over everything. So she was saying that I was looking for my shoes on the real side, so that I can put them on and just begin my journey, as Dwayne was referring to the shoes. So, but again, I was looking for everywhere to find an appropriate shoes for myself, a pair of appropriate shoes, but I couldn't really find it. I couldn't really find it. I mean, there was nothing. I was finding some shoes, but it was not my size. All of them were smaller than me, smaller than my size, my feet. So finally, I couldn't find any shoes, and I decided to just go bare feet. And it was a deep, really deep, dark area. I just ran into the deep, dark area without any shoes. And then I saw that there are a couple of others too. They're going to that area too. And I saw that there is a person there who has some saplings in his hand, and he's going into the darkness in order to cultivate those things there. And she had this impression that it was me, but she was not sure. So since she just went directly into the darkness, she reached somewhere, and there was an elevator there. The elevator just had a floor. It didn't have any walls. So those guys who were going into the darkness, they just reach the elevator, get on the elevator, and go upward. And she was also about to go and get on the elevator to go upward, because her name was called already. So she knew that she's going to bring some news from the unknown. So that was her experience last night.
Yeah, that's cute. And the shoe idea, again, it's, realistically, we have these ideas, and she's looking for the shoes that fit her well. See, like you're saying, they're too small. She doesn't need the shoes anymore. At a certain point, you don't need anything. So we used shoes for a while, but just like the indigenous people, most of them walked around barefooted. And that's really how it is. And then we develop shoes and ideas to protect our feet here because of how it is here. But on the real side, You don't need any of these things. So, and yeah, that's cool. That's cool. She's going into the real universes because she's approached the deep dark border, and so she's going up, and there's no walls. It's an elevator going up, and she's she's given the ride because she's earned that. Yeah. So, um, almost from the experience how you described it, it's almost like she was going to leave the earth here. It's very interesting. So, what was her impression of that?
As she was today, she was in a very difficult situation in her personal life. Also, she had also a little experience of even death on the real side, and she was saying that actually she's just leaving the body. It's the time, but but actually she didn't. I mean, yeah, but she was having this experience that there is no fear, no more fear for her. She's just easily going on to leave the body because she was really under pressure and she had this experience. But again, she just came back. I mean, this experience that I'm saying now is after the previous one.
It's interesting when, again, just like you see in the movies objectively, you still have the choice. You are, it's made available to you that you can go on, you can leave the body, you can go into the real universes, whatever, and whatever you decide is fine. But lots of times the boys like Rivazar, he still has his body here. He's been here a long time, and many others. They've decided to stay. I've decided to stay. The thing is that, fine, I'm not interested in just, going there and just being there and whatever. That's fine, but I see that, I see what's going on here, so I'm fine. I don't consider any of that at all. I just want to do whatever I can while I'm here, and we'll just see how it plays out. And at a certain point, I will. And Paul, realistically, it's interesting his experience here. And when he took the Rod of Power in 1965, after that, he was only here a short time. When I took it in 2001, I've been here a while, and I'm going to be here a lot longer. Even though there's no more Rod of Power, it's the new wave. But he was only here a certain amount of time. He basically talked about 5 years, but I don't think that most people realize that it wouldn't be much longer than that. Actually, he stayed a while longer because I needed to be adjusted and ready, so he stayed a bit longer. But realistically, his decision to allow himself to go through what he did, to be taken out, etc., whatever it is, there'll be more to that someday. I'll share that. And was that he would work with me from the real side, you see. And so he did what he did. He set the position. And just like he said when he was here, I've reached about as many as I could. He made that statement. Basically, he was saying that, I've done what I've done, and now I'm going to go to the real side. And so, again, this is where him and Rivazar basically, they're like my parents. They work with what I'm doing here because I've decided to do this and stay for as long as it takes because of how things are. So, yeah, this is where we're having the projects all over the world, etc. We're making this available to as many people as possible. And it is true that there's only going to be a certain amount of people that are going to wake up, but I still want to make the effort because it's my choice to make the effort for as many people to wake up in many ways and, even trick them into it, So I trick people into being wonderful. And so that's the idea. And, use every resource I can. I like the challenge. And I don't have to do this. I don't have to do the projects. I don't have to do any of that. I can just do the writings. I've let people know it's out there. And I can just kind of dilly-dally with that. But I don't want to. I put myself through a whole lot, take on a whole lot, because I don't want to sit here and watch this world burn. I don't want to see people suffer. This is ridiculous. And even the bad guys, they have a chance to wake up, and they have a chance to, like Joni, she has a chance to wake up, and by the very fact that if she stepped up and said what's going on and confronted people and said, here's, here's the real guides and what's happening in the all is. Well, that could, that could change a lot of people. But in the meantime, everybody's trapped. So again, giving everybody the opportunity to wake up and, creatively presenting this in so many different ways. That's why I define it so much, because it does take a lot of explanation. It's more than just, you just do the New Year sessions and, you become spiritual or whatever the idea. Well, we don't use that idea. And it's not about that. That's basically physical astral. It's very limited. And so, and so it's more than that. And it's like Harry, he gets up on the stage a couple hours a year. That's it. He's the great master. That's how he thinks of himself. And no, I don't see that as, it had its day, but it's not working anymore. And actually, it doesn't work. It's actually a detriment. And that's not what is seen either. So either or whatever. And so, no, I see a bigger picture, and that is I'll touch every avenue I can. Create, recreate, rewrite history, whatever it takes to provide a view for people to, give them the opportunity to see a whole lot more. That's my adventure. I decide that. Just like when Paul was here, he decided whatever. And, my position is, the boys asked me if I would step up. I didn't have to, but I agreed. And so, and I decide what is what. I changed the levels. I did everything. I decided all that. They showed me certain things, and I recognized what's going on. So step by step, I recognize what's going on, and then I proceed from there. So, and just like in Miss Asia's experience, she's given the opportunity to do whatever. She's earned her way. And so that's a decision. And some people, many of them will go on. They don't want to come back here. They don't want to do anything. And I understand. But I do. Because it is here, not only do I care, like we care about what's going on here, but at the same time, you get, because of the motivation, you get the greatest, I see it for myself, get the greatest recognition, because it's so hard here. And so you're very motivated, you see. And this is where you surpass so much, more so than even the 7th level and whatever. And most people will just go to the 7th level. They'll be satisfied there. And that'll be it. And most people, even at the 7th level, they will not recognize the they really won't. They'll be in there, they'll be fine, they'll be taken care of. They never have to come back to creation. But there's a whole lot more to it. And so again, it's each individual decides. It's not for everybody. And so there are no set this or that's in life. It's all you decide. Sky's the limit. It's unlimited. It's endless. Yeah, it's more than forever or eternity. And these are simply ideas in creation. And there is eternity in the mental worlds, because it's a mental idea. So just like Paul described in the Talents of Time or whatever, it seems like it's forever, but it's not. It only seems that way, etc. And you can be there forever, but you're still in creation. You're still the effect of things. But the real universes are endless. So again, it's all choice. This is what you must learn to recognize. You are the decider. And you can place yourself with your intent any way you want. And that intent's very important. And this is what, as I took the position here, I recognize that, most people do not see their intent. It's all covered up. They have ideas, but they don't really recognize where their intent is. And that's very, very important to see that. That becomes, you decide how that becomes the main event. So it's like a person that wants to take over the world, okay, and just dominate the world, etc., like the reptilians have. And that is their intent. You see, they're very adamant and very active. They want the adventure. They want to do whatever. That's a huge intent. You see, they recognize their intent, but most people don't. Most people just live their personal life. They just kind of go along with things and basically survive and have their little jollies and whatever. They don't really have any intent. about anything. They're just kind of like hanging out is what they're doing. And that's a choice. See, that's a choice they make. And then they just deal with the effects in creation. Whatever is taking place in creation, they got to deal with it. And they're always going to be asking the question, well, gee, why is this happening and why is that happening? See, they're always going to be the unknown effect, and they don't really know because they've set themselves up thinking that they know what life is. They think that, okay, we got to work a little bit, we got to plant food, we grow it, we have little dinners, and we raise babies, and we get together with our neighbors and have some fun, etc. So they're thinking that, well, this is how life is, like in Hobbitville. Okay, and that's it. But when things happen, the weather changes, there's earthquakes or whatever, there's wars, like in the Lord of the Rings, all of a sudden it's like, well, gee, why is this happening? These people aren't nice. Well, it's not about that. It's about free will. Now you got to deal with everybody else's free will, and you're at the mercy of it. So you decide if you want to stay unaware here, you see. But I see what's going on, and so my focus is just to do what I can while I'm here. That's my whole focus. I don't even, the is what it is. That's how I see it. And so I don't have a desire to really for anything except to do what I'm here doing, and that is to see all of you and everyone as possible, as many as I can, succeed. That's really my focus. That's it. Yeah, it's for everyone. And so, but each person decides, and most people, they want this, they want that, they want freedom and salvation. Fine, you can have it. Thing is, you can have whatever you want, but you got to figure it out. You got to figure out what real freedom is, because there's no freedom here. There's absolutely none. And you see the masses trying to struggle for it. There's no freedom here. These are ideas that they pass around. This is human farming. That's it. There is no La La Land here. It's fake. It's like Disneyland. Go ahead, go have fun. But it'll all just become a junkyard. It'll last so long. And if you have patience to be now and see it, you'll see that it's only going to last so long. That pretty girl that you see down the street, it's not that, no, you shouldn't desire her and want to marry her and whatever, have a family. That's not the idea, but she's only going to last so long. And you see most marriages or relationships turn to drama. You have to deal with that. And I have to deal with it too. We all do. We deal with each other. And that's okay. But there is a bigger picture, and most people don't see it. Very few people do. And I know it's a toughie. And that's why I take the time, and we take the time to share these things. It's a toughie. It's a risk-taker position. You're always going into the unknown to see what will become known. But if you don't, you'll never know, because there is more that you don't know and unseen than what you do. A whole lot more, because it's endless. And so very few people will do that. But it will become exposed if you decide so. And the boys will start to show you, and it'll show up in your real awareness, and it'll filter down through the various bodies. But again, it's a decision. And this is where many people, for the most part, they go into religions, politics, spiritual paths, and they've found their home because it's comfort zone for them. They like the ideas that have been created with these things. And so they feel comfortable and they feel successful with them. Well, again, it's choice. And so, I like the fact that, and it's very real with how I've decided the new presentation to be, and that is it is a reference. It is the best reference around, because we do have the real connection, and the is decided that, the new you. I didn't decide it. The is decided. I recognized it, and then I brought it forward. And so because it's real and my intent is real, the boys stand real with me, and so does the whole of life. It's because my intent is with the is, that's it. And so I am demonstrating that, whether people like it or not. This is what I do. And it's not about that. I'm not criticizing the world. I'm trying to warn the world, because we're in a desperate situation. And I don't want to see people suffer, because it is a huge process and program to go through to get to that point where the individual does, get their intent so to where they can save themselves. So you must go through yourself. So again, yes, huge process. Yes, go ahead, Hesam. Thank you for activating this, because it's very important to say this over and over, because again, the personal self forgets, and it's learning to be now, and there's a whole lot to it. So yeah, as we have these Skypes, people get the reminders. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Dwayne. That was basically I had to share for tonight. Thank you.
Well, basically the place is dead, isn't it? Yeah, but the Colosseum still stands, and so what we see with this world, it's in a way, it's basically dead, but it's the formation of ideas, because that's what the Colosseum is. And so camels are cool too. Do they have camels in Africa? They do. Do they have their own? Yeah, I thought it was just Arabia, but in Africa too. Yeah.
Actually, the largest population of camels, surprisingly, is in Australia. But yeah, they have their own driving lanes. In Africa, they've got like the diamond lane just for camels.
Oh, cool. Well, there we go, Kelsey. So that's a sign, isn't it? Hmm. Yeah. Do you have to have a license to drive a camel in Africa? The little sports car model. Yes. Okay. Yeah, camels are funny. I've seen movies with camels. There was one with Bill Murray, I think. Yeah, camel. They have their attitudes. They've hauled a lot of stuff, so yeah, they got their attitudes. You got to deal with that too. But yeah, that's cool. That's so cool. So it's a heads up. Things are being formulated a particular way. So we're gonna have a lot of fun here. Yeah, so stick with us. Yeah, thank you, Chris. Yeah, I didn't know that either. Australia. Yeah, you got the kangaroos down there. Those guys are cool. Yeah,
There's
so
a
you got.
movie.
Go
Oh,
ahead. Go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
There's a movie that's called. The name of it is called Tracks, like foot, tracks, like tracks in the sand. And it's about a woman in the '60s who goes from one side of Australia to the other, and she meets some camel people along the way. But it's a really cool movie. It was on Netflix at one point. I don't know if it still is. Tracks. But yeah, what they did is they imported camels there, and then the population exploded. So not as many in like Arabia as there used to be. There's some in Kuwait and in Iraq and whatnot. Bedouin use them.
I think that's great. What's the hurry, right? So yeah, because they all drive sports cars now. But
Yeah.
I think it's a cool life. Yeah, having your tent, your camel, and whatever. And yeah, how fun. And in
They're
Africa, you can have them there. You got everything. Go ahead.
yeah, they're in the Bedouin societies, like they are nomads, for example. But in Saudi Arabia, they're very wealthy. They actually control a lot of the politics, but very hospitable. Like if you come across one of their camps, I don't know about being a white guy. I don't know if that would work, but very hospitable. Like they'll make you dinner, even if they've just eaten dinner. They'll go out and kill another goat and make another dinner. There's a movie called well, it translates to wolf. What's the name? Thebe? Thebe. Theeb. It's an Arabian movie, and the example of that is these guys they're Bedouins. They're out there and they just now finished dinner. Like somebody just took their plates away, and some guys come walking up and they go out and they kill another goat and they have a whole another dinner. So it's a really interesting culture, and it's not the same as like all in that area. Like if you I don't know, it's hard to explain. But yeah, like you say, it's a slow pace. Oh, and the other thing about camels too is like when I was in Kuwait, they were considered kind of like state property. You know, the camels just went wherever they wanted to, and you could use them, but you'd have to let them go when you were done using them. So like you needed to haul something. Oh, hey, there's a camel, great, but then you let it go afterwards.
See, that's cool. Yeah, see, that's a community idea. You just do what you do for the moment and let it go. You don't need to own it. You don't need to tie it up, stick it in a barn, whatever. Yeah, you just let it go and do its thing. And so this is how, animals and so-called nature and whatever would respond if people had that attitude, you see? Everybody would just be doing their thing, having their experience, and it'd be cool. But there are those that, want to make prisoners of things and trade people, camels, whatever, slaves, and, start this whole idea and then start this commerce economy to where everything gets out of control, and eventually it turns into tech food and GMO, which we have today. You see, so, but it's you learn from that too. It's all that, but eventually you realize that no, you don't need any of this. You can just simply live and endlessly explore the all is. That's the whole idea of life. It is just not to struggle and survive here, but with your real awareness. And so while you're here, you can have a cool, simple life. And you don't need all these things. You don't need to have a 9-to-5 boring job. You can just live off the natural environment here and do what you do and have fun. This is where you have like a fun life. It's very simple, not complicated, stressful, and full of nonsense. You see? And the bigger part is, hey, raise a family, see the children, see other children. It's wonderful. I can't wait to get to Africa and see all the kids, I don't need to own kids. I don't need to have the family, but I can, it's still there, and it's wonderful to see them. That's totally terrific. So, and at the same time, you can stand real here and now in the is and recognize it. It's not about going somewhere. It's not about having a better life. It's your real life is your real awareness, and that's a recognition. So you don't have to travel across the world to see the world. You can learn to recognize whatever you want without moving from where you are. It's so cool. Yeah, it's so much better.